I was 20 and trying to pay my own way through summer trade school semesters by working all winter. Finding enough work was tough, but my uncle got me a job on his crew doing demolition work on an old office building. The guy I was replacing got cute, cutting corners, and fell off a roof with no safety harness. He broke both collarbones and would be recovering for at least 2 months. My first day on the job site was a bitterly cold February 20th. The air had this weird oppressive feeling, and the wind cut right through my coat and vest. We had to work overtime, because the storm would cause a few days of snow removal before we could get back to tearing down the masonry. The bosses wanted as much done as possible, so we were there until nearly midnight. The last few hours of my shift, the snow started, and soon visibility was down to almost 0. Finally, the foreman told us we could get lost, and I clocked out. I was hungry as fuck, so I wanted to grab a little bite before catching the last bus of the night back to my tiny apartment. No one else was around. I didn't really know anyone yet, and I guess they just took off. I saw a Wendy's across the street with an open sign in the window and headed over. The streets were deserted, and with the blowing snow, it looked like the whole city was battening down the hatches and going to ground. The parking lot was empty, and there were no lights inside the restaurant, but I pushed on the door anyway, and it opened. Inside, the power was off. One skinny teenager stood in front of a register. I was about to leave, when he beckoned me over. "Looks like you've got no power," I said stupidly. He nodded. "The gas still works. I can take your order." He paused after each word, and I decided he was most likely high. I shrugged and ordered a double burger and cheese with fries. I grabbed my wallet, but he shook his head slowly. He gestured to the dark cash register. "I can't ring it in. It's on the house." I thanked him and waited. In the back, I could see nothing but darkness, but I spotted a shape moving back there. I was squinting my eyes, trying to make out more, when a hand emerged and handed the cashier my burger and fries. "Here you go," the stoned-sounding teen said. I took my food and sat at a table. Nobody else was in there besides me, and the snow was so thick outside, I couldn't even see the job site across the street. The table was coated in dust. I wiped it off, thinking that they must be short-staffed because of the blizzard. The cashier stared at me in a creepy way, but I ignored him and started to chow down. People acted strange when they were wasted. Nothing new there. The burger was hot and juicy, just the way I liked it. After I finished, I dumped the trash and headed back out. When I got to the door, I looked back and saw that the cashier was gone. He must have went into the back for a break, or maybe he was heading home. It didn't look like there would be any more customers that night. I went to the bus stop and, by luck, the bus arrived just a few minutes later. There were only 3 other people on the bus, and I noticed an old lady looking at me funny every once in a while. It took about half an hour to get to my stop. When I got up to get off the bus, a few people shrank back from me, as if they were afraid. But I didn't think much of it. You had to be careful around strangers nowadays. When I got back up to my apartment, I took off my work coat and vest, and pulled off my steel-toe boots. I went to take a leak, and that's when I saw my reflection in the mirror. There was blood all around my mouth and down my chin, a trail of red that also spread all over my white t-shirt. What the fuck? I thought. I must have bit my lip or cheek or something. I opened my mouth, but there was no pain and nothing bleeding. No wonder those people were staring at me. I cleaned myself up and went to bed, dog-tired. 2 days later, I came back to work, and Charlie, the dude I was manning a wheelbarrow with, asked me where I went the other day after work. I said I grabbed a bite to eat. He told me they were looking for me and figured I'd be at the McDonald's a block away, because that's where everyone went after work. I told him I went to the Wendy's instead, and he just stared at me, blankly. "What Wendy's?" I pointed across the street, but my mouth dropped open as I noticed the decrepit appearance of the building. It looked like it hadn't been open in ages. "Nice one," Charlie said with a smile. "That place is the next building we're tearing down. After what happened in there, no one will ever want to rent that space again." A chill went up my spine as I wondered who had taken my order, who had handed him the food, and what exactly it was that I'd eaten in there. God, next time I'll tell you about all the things that happened while we demolished that Wendy's, and what I found in that basement. But that is a tale for another day. Hello, sinister listeners. If you've enjoyed this story, then you'll find all the author's information in the description below. For more content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to succumb to the sinister.